Welcome back to the Elise Surkoff podcast, where we help women thrive unapologetically from the inside out, both in perimenopause and menopause. Today, I'm going to be talking about something that I actually learned from one of my second mentors, who is Shantae Cofield, the movement maestro. So shout out to her. I don't think she's going to be listening to this podcast, but she was the first person that coined this term for me that really stuck in terms of it was more in line of business where, you're starting a business and it is very slow, slow, slow. And then boom, right? It's like gradually, gradually, suddenly. And, kind of like the snowball effect, right? If you're imagining a tiny little snowball and you're like kind of like pushing it up the hill, and it's just like it's getting bigger with more snow as you're pushing it up the hill, but it's so hard and you're like, oh my God, it's like the biggest fucking snowball you've ever had. And then you get to the top and you let it go and it's just so easy, right? And this is something that I like to really kind of bring back into when it comes to weight loss in perimenopause, especially because, and it's not that like there's a magic bullet of weight loss strategies that you need in perimenopause or menopause that you don't have before then. It's just that when you think about it, when you're in perimenopause, you're typically like mid 40s to mid 50s, sometimes a little bit earlier, 40s to 50s. So somewhere in that bracket, meaning you've got 40 plus decades of habits and narratives and beliefs that you have in how things should be and the results that you should have. Typically, I see a lot of women by this phase in their life have had children, have had multiple children, have had experience losing weight. A lot of women will say to me, I am heavier now than I was when I was pregnant, but I was able to, get rid of all my baby weight, no problem after each pregnancy. And then all of a sudden now I blink and I am like suddenly, 50 pounds overweight, 60 pounds. Suddenly I blinked and all of a sudden I can't fit into my clothes, or I've changed nothing and suddenly nothing works anymore. And I challenge this and I say, was it really suddenly? If you look back on the last 10 years, 10 years, ask yourself, what has slowly changed? So for most women in this age bracket, so perimenopause, thinking it's like up to a 10-year process or even menopause, so anywhere from 40 plus, ask yourself in the last 10 years, what has changed? So for me, I am 46. I can say, what has changed since I'm 36? So 36, I was carrying kids on my hip. I think I was still breastfeeding. How old's my little one? Yeah, I was like still breastfeeding 10 years ago, right? So it's like I was chasing toddlers. I was holding babies still on my hip. I was physically running around. I went to bed as soon as my head hit the pillow. What else was really different? I was different work environment. I wasn't certainly doing an online business. I was personal training, teaching classes, running around like a crazy person all the time. I was seeing friends when I could. I was the head of the PTA for 3 years. So I was running to the school a lot. I was doing a lot of shit. And as I say it, I'm like, no fucking wonder I was exhausted as I was when I hit my 40s. But life is very different now. Okay. I've got same littles are not little anymore, right? I got 2 teens and my youngest is going to be 12 soon. So my kids definitely not carrying them around. All my kids are bigger than me at this point. They all go to bed later than me at this point, and their needs are very different. I am not chasing them around. In fact, if anything, I'm like begging them to give me attention, right? I'm driving more. I'm driving to the hockey rink. I'm waiting in the car. I'm waiting in the hockey rink. I'm definitely less active, taking less steps. I have to physically go for walks so that I stay active. But if I didn't have that, that would be a big difference. What else is different? So I work from home. So maybe, I have more food throughout the day. I know a lot of women, especially, will say, I stop at Starbucks or I stop at Tim Hortons and I grab a coffee and then I grab like have a little cookie, right? Just have a little thing here. Or, a lot of friends of mine have started to, I like to say, we've reclaimed our life again. It's like, hey, my kids don't need me as much. I remember back in September, Albert and I got together with like 15 of our friends that we were friends with when we got married and before we had kids. And ever since, we've all had multiple kids. We live in different areas of the city. It was impossible to get together. And now we get together and we're like, oh my God, this was almost too easy. Like all we had to do was like pick a night and get together, and like no one's kids needed anything. No one needed to get babysitters. Like it was just so easy. And so a lot of us in this bracket of life are starting to kind of reclaim their life again and their social life. And I'm going out and I'm traveling again because it's not hard to leave my kids. They're more independent. So little things are starting to creep in. So if you ask yourself in the last 10 years, I'd say a lot of things have changed. And if you don't change with it, now I'll say in the last 6, 7 years of my life, I've changed that again because I quit drinking all the time. I dialed in my macros. I really focused on strength training, focused on better habits. And so if you look at me 5, 6 years ago, my physique is very different than where it is right now. But I understand that most people don't follow that trajectory. It's more like they just keep going. And then when they're in their 40s, 50s, 60s, they're like, I don't understand what happened. I want you to understand this did not happen overnight. You think it did because in your head, nothing changed. But that's why. If I didn't change my habits, if I didn't nail my macros, if I didn't change my strength training, dial in my habits, quit drinking so much, quit doing shitty behavioral things that, wasn't in alignment with what I wanted anymore, I would still be gaining weight. So at one point I wasn't fitting into my pants. I was already up one size. That's 10 pounds. Easily I'd be up another two sizes by now. I'd be up 30 pounds. And that would be fucking hard to lose. Okay. So like I'd come to myself now and say, I'm 30 pounds overweight and I don't understand why. So I want you to remember that the suddenly that you think that is happening right now or that has happened actually isn't. It is gradually, suddenly. That's typically for any behavior pattern. It's like, same thing with weight loss, right? And I say this to our clients a lot in our FFW community. We have a 90-day program, and most people don't see results in those first 30 days. They are just fucking doing the gradually. And I'll say it takes 4 weeks of consistency before you even start to see results. So typically our women will start seeing results at that like 60 to 90 day mark. They're like, fuck. It's like all of a sudden I'm seeing changes. I did a community call yesterday and one of our clients shared a win. She's like, oh my gosh, like for the first 60 days, it was nothing. And all of a sudden now it's like suddenly. And I'm like, it's not suddenly. It was gradually, and then suddenly. And that's the trajectory of most learned habits, right? It's like when you start, I'll just use the same analogy I always do, playing guitar. You don't just pick it up and all of a sudden start playing it. You have to learn. You have to practice. Your fingers have to hurt. You have to do sound checks. You have to, tune your guitar 100 times and figure out how to do that. So that's gradually, and then suddenly. Or like I know where I live in Toronto, they are constantly having every house that is sold being like rebuilt, right? And so like the joke is that it looks like all of a sudden a house went up, but it's not. It's like they had to do, construction. They knocked the house down. They had to do the weatherproofing. It was like constantly laying down the concrete, laying down and it's just like a mess. And this got cut and this got cut. And then suddenly a year later, there's a house standing and you're like, holy shit, that felt so fast. But when you're in it, it's a very gradual process, right? So remember that the same is true when it comes to why you are where you are right now in your physique or in your habits, where you're like, why isn't this working? Why all of a sudden have I gained all this weight? I want you to say, what have I been doing? So it is not happening overnight. And you're going to disagree with me because you're going to say to me, but Elise, you don't understand. I'm a special snowflake and nothing has changed. And I'll say to you, nothing has changed except for everything. So maybe nothing has changed and you're still having that extra cookie every day, but it took you 5 years to start gaining weight off that that one cookie a day, right? No big deal in the moment because it's so gradual, but then suddenly it adds up. Or you're less active because you're driving more than ever before instead of carrying your kids around. Like I know for me, we used to walk to the park a lot. I had a stroller that was like an all-terrain stroller. And if you're like really into strollers, you're like, that was the cool stroller. It got like the big fucking wheels. I would, my friend, my best friend, Lara, shout out to her. And we would call ourselves really dumb because we would be walking in like snowstorms up the hills and our stupid strollers could like handle anything. And our babies were like all zipped up, but like we fucking walked everywhere. I remember, and I had a double stroller with a fucking carrier on it, right? I remember going to the exhibition, which in Toronto is like our big, like, carnival type thing. And I had like a kid on my back that I would like, strap to my carrier. Like I was just always physically kind of like holding my kids in some capacity or they were like my best accessory. Right. And so imagine now I don't have that. I'm like burning less calories. I'm less active overall. And I'm going to say, well, nothing's changed. I'm still eating the same, but my activity is significantly changed. Or I stay up later because my kids are older. Hands up if that's what you're thinking. You're like, I used to go to bed at like 9 o'clock because I put my kids to bed at 7. And I was so tired that my husband and I would spend an hour or two watching TV and we'd fall asleep on the couch and then go to bed. Whereas now you're like, my kids don't fucking go to bed till like 11 or 12 and I'm staying up to make sure they get to bed okay. Right now you're not sleeping, or you do what I do, which is like you say goodnight to your kids and like cross your fingers that they're going to go to bed at some point. So everything that you think hasn't changed actually is changing. It's just very gradual, gradually, and then suddenly. So again, I'm here to just shine that mirror on you and say, hey, just think for a second that all the excuses that you're giving yourself is not actually true, and that you got here for a good reason. And it's going to take time to come out of it the same way. It's going to be gradual, and then suddenly, right? It's going to be like, you don't just do one workout and then strip naked and be like, I'm fucking jacked. It's going to take time and repetition and a lot of, gradually to say, wow, I have muscles and I feel jacked. And when did this happen? And this is why I like to look at myself in terms of my progress year to year, because then I get a really good gauge at where I am in my physique. My weight doesn't tend to change that much, but I can see so many changes in my physique, mostly based on my clothes as well. So hopefully this makes sense. And I've shined a little bit of a mirror so that you can be a little bit more patient with yourself, and then also maybe challenge yourself a little bit. Of course, if you want to watch this episode, you can watch it on YouTube. If you're interested in learning more about how we can help you get that process a little bit faster, I'd love to talk to you about our 90-day 4 function hormonal renewal. I will drop all the links below. And until next time.